Hello! Oh, Knives Tale here. Third time's the charm. I've had to stop this thing multiple times. I had a call come in and stuff happening. Today we're looking at the Rike Alien 4. So let me tell you a story on this one. And the review. The name is printed right there. And the designer is right there. I don't love that they're right there, but honestly, I'm not going to knock this one too hard for that. They're not on the blade, at least. But this is clearly more of an artsy showcase knife than it is, your practical user. You could use this thing, but I mean, you got this thicker part that's holding onto the blade up here, so you're not getting full advantage of this ridiculously thin blade and edge. You got this pretty much full usage of, and you can just sort of cuts and different things with that. This is more just a kind of a cool knife for the sake of being cool than it is super practical or usable or anything. You got sort of a Persian trailing point, so you do have access to the tip. I'll give them that much. I don't know how to classify this thing. It's a very unique piece, which Rike does a lot of. Very cool stuff. I like what Rike does. I like a lot of their crazier designs. Their showcases of, hey, look, we can make a ridiculously detailed thing at a good price, and it usually works wonderfully. They're one of the best companies making knives in China, in my opinion. It's just quality. I'm wasting time. Let's get to specs. Blade length is 4 inches overall. About 9 1/8, maybe a little bit more than that. And 5 1/8, or just a tiny bit more than that, not quite. Yeah, it falls right under 4 1/4. So this is a sizable knife. This is not a small knife. This would actually be, weirdly enough, a large knife. I'd consider this thing. And you'll see it and understand it when I make our comparisons to the Civivi Elementum, which is a small knife, and the Conspirator, which for some reason I could not open with my left hand today, which is a full-size knife. And as you can see, yeah, it's considerably bigger. Even with its waviness, just straight end to end, it's still considerably bigger. You have a ton of handle here. I mean, I'm in this grip. I'm not even touching this. And you can go up here. There's a ton of room here. The actual cutting edge is not nearly as long. Which, you know what? I'm going to get this stuff out of the way before I start doing other things. That's probably the smart move. The actual cutting edge is... No? The actual cutting edge is like 3 7/8. It's still considerable. Again, you don't have full access to this because of this that will get in the way of some material, but it's not that thick. You might be able to make it work. So I guess you could probably make this thing work as a user. Oh, and it comes with a tool. We'll talk about that in a little bit. T8. Pivot. And everything else is T6. Don't love T6. But I'm also not in love with the fact that I would ever have to take apart this knife, because while it's not too hard, and it's not really that complex, it's just sort of, here's your handle holding a blade holder. And that's pretty much what you got to work with. But I don't know. I don't necessarily care to take apart this thing. So the T6 are there. They feel okay. Not the deepest tool T6 ever, but doesn't feel like they're locked in by too much. Replacing the blade would be... I don't like T6. I don't like T6 at all. Weight on the alien for 3.5, 3 ounces. So more than an ounce an inch. I mean, can you tell it's skeletonized? I mean, hello. Yeah, this thing does not weigh a lot. This thing is featherweight, especially for its size. So I suppose, again, if you're looking for ounce an inch, you're wonderful here. -5 today. How do you go to -5? Clearly, you're not negative. The calipers. 556 thousandths, so over half an inch. It's on the thicker side, but not bad. I'm going to measure the blade stock thickness because that's really the only important part. 77 thousandths. It is really thin. Like, the actual blade on this thing is stupid thin. The behind the edge thickness of what appears to be... that might be a hollow grind. It's really hard to tell. It's so thin. Ten to 11 thousandths at most, and that feels a little bit much behind the edge. It's ridiculously thin. I think it might be flat ground, honestly. It's so thin it's hard to tell. Yeah, this thing will slice like an absolute monster. And I want to say, my word, Rike, that is a pretty aggressive factory edge. So, yeah, it's a cutter. There's no doubt about that. I guess we're done with those basic specs. So what are we looking at? We're looking at an almost mirror polish. That is kind of mirror polished Damasteel blade. It says Damasteel right there. Again, don't love that that's there, but for a showpiece kind of thing, you kind of understand. Like if this thing was sitting in a some sort of display or something, yeah, okay, I can kind of see it. We've got this really sort of heavy, dark titanium. It's not bronze, it's just really heavy brown kind of metallic. It's very interesting looking, with a very sort of organic shape on the cutout. I'm assuming that's the alien part on the cutout. On the handle, milled into the handle, and cut out of the handle. That's the alien part right there. Clamshell backspacer. There is a line down here. You can see it. It's not an integral, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, it functions like one. This, where the flipper tab sticks through in the open and the closed position, actually kind of functions as a position to socket your thumb a little bit. And it's not uncomfortable. Like, it's all super softened down in there. So, yeah, why not, right? And as crazy as this handle looks, it's actually surprisingly comfortable overall. Yeah, you feel the ridges, and you feel the bits and bobs and dips and stuff, but none of it's uncomfortable. It's all handled pretty darn well. Even the pocket clip, on a thinner handle, it just feels like a sort of raised part of the knife. It's not that bad. Choke up is, again, surprisingly comfortable. It's a little bit weird feeling because of how thin the blade stock is that you're coming in contact with, but it's comfortable, it's roomy, it's gives you a good grip. The abstractness of this thing belies just how well done it is. It's a frame lock on bearings. In fact, excellent action. Looks like maybe Teflon gauged bearings. It is a flipper only. There is a hole here, but you cannot get to that. That is, it's rounded, it's tight. Yeah, this is a flipper only knife. And as far as flippers go, Rike likes to do these flippers where they're rounded balls that kind of feel like out of place with the rest of the knife. But my word, do they work well. There's just a little bit of jimping. It doesn't even matter that it's not like the most grippy jimping. For some reason, those flippers just work so well. Push button, light switch, whatever. They just work. This round thing. it's a great design. It's wonderful. Get out of here, fuzz. Knife is centered perfectly, and you can see it lines up with the central line. Pocket clip is on with a ball, which I know a lot of people don't love. I've never had too much problem with them. It's a little bit stiff, but it's long enough that you can still get a good flex out of it. So yeah, it actually works. It's not bad in and out of the pocket at all. Logo right there on the pivot. And I think that's the number that's been made of this. This is number 331. You can see part of the track that the thing rolls on. That's the detent hole right there for the closed position. Oh, and it comes with this. Well, at least the current ones they're offering now, or if they were in stock, come with this little tool thing. You got pry bar. It's titanium, by the way. Bottle opener, glass breaker, and inside you have a T8 and T6 bit. Very odd looking. It kind of like I don't know. Kind of says alien to me, and then you got like, I don't know, space helmets. So sure, they're just doing their own thing here, and I'm all for it. Rike logo up there, etc., etc., etc. Pocket clip. This is tight though, but again, not again. I haven't talked about the pocket clip. What am I talking about? I have no idea. That's a bit tight. It's a bit shallow. Though I suppose that's probably gone into a thin pocket. I don't know. All I know is these come together for $420. And that's kind of insane to me. The amount of detail. The fact that this is basically pretty close to full mirror polished damaged steel. The execution. The price is expensive. It's a premium, very expensive knife that you may not be buying to use, really, even. But you could. It will work. There's no reason you can't. Just know that you're not going to get deep back-end cuts, which may not be a problem, considering most of your use of a knife, at least in my experience with a pocket knife, is probably going to be up here. I mean, people like to say, here's the push cut, and that's going to be a problem. Yeah, but how often do you come across something that requires that kind of push cut? I mean, I'm more inclined to be doing this kind of cutting. And it works. So I suppose you can use it, but it might also just be, like for me, not something I want to use particularly heavily. So it's expensive. But when you actually look at what's all here, it's amazing that it's as low as it is, honestly. There's so much going on here. So much precision, so much execution. I mean, this is textured and everything, and lock bar access is actually pretty darn great. What you're getting is very much, how should I say it? You feel like you're getting your money's worth here if you know what you're looking at. Which is interesting for such a crazy thing. I don't know. I love it. I saw it. I said, oh, you know what? I have to have that. I have to have that because that's just freaking cool. And that's what it is. It's freaking cool. So don't think they're available right now, but I will link the Rike/Ketuo website down below, and that's all. So like, subscribe if you would very kindly. I would appreciate a comment, thoughts on this artsy sort of thing. And we're closing the book on this one. I'm gonna make that a thing. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.